The 19th Amendment and Women's Voting Rights. At the beginning of the 19th century, only men could vote and own property. Women practically had no legal identity. The proper place for women in the 19th century was to be at home, cleaning, cooking, or taking care of the children. Their only job was to submit to their husbands and care only for their households. It was unusual for girls to go to school at the time. In most homes, girls learned household tasks to make them better mothers and wives. Mostly boys went to school. They were the future political leaders and landowners. Only a few women went to school to become teachers or nurses. Many people thought that women didn't have the equal value or the mental capacity of men to be of any higher use than out of the home. But not all women believed that. Many women wanted equal rights to men. One big right that women wanted was the right to be able to vote. Women wanted to be identified as citizens. Susan B. Anthony was a leading women's rights activist. At first, she started as an agent for the Anti-Slavery Society all the way up until the Civil War. After the Civil War, she became more focused on women's rights. May 1869, Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton founded the National Women's Suffrage Association. That same year, another organization, the American Women's Suffrage Association, led by Lucy Stone, was created. In 1890, the two groups joined together to become the National American Women's Suffrage Association, or the NAWSA. Years earlier, in 1878, before the two groups had joined, the suffrage movement had enough influence to lobby the U.S. Constitution for an amendment. However, Congress responded by forming groups in the House and Senate to look over and debate the issue. Within 6 years of the two groups joining, Colorado, Utah, and Idaho became some of the first states allowing women to vote. Women in other states wanted to vote also. Many women had parades and marches. On the eve of President Woodrow Wilson's inauguration, many women protesters had a massive parade in Washington, D.C., and hundreds of women were injured and many were arrested by anti-women suffragists. On May 21, 1919, a United States Representative, James Mann, proposed to the House of Representatives to approve the Susan Anthony Amendment. The measure had passed through the House with a full 42 votes above the required two-thirds majority. Then, 2 weeks later, on June 4, 1919, the Senate passed the 19th Amendment by a close 2 votes over the two-thirds requirement. Now that the Senate had passed the 19th Amendment, all that was needed was for the states to ratify it. By March of 1919, a total of 35 states had approved the amendment. It was only one state short of the two-thirds requirement. Then, finally, on August 18, 1920, Tennessee had approved the amendment, and the 19th Amendment was ratified. Women everywhere in the U.S. could vote. On November 2nd of that same year, more than 8 million women in the United States voted in the elections for the first time ever. How my project relates to the theme Rights and Responsibilities. I believe my topic, the 19th Amendment and women's voting rights, relates to the theme Rights and Responsibilities because women felt they weren't being treated as equally to men. If all men are created equal, aren't women included also? Women just wanted the same rights as everybody else and wanted to be treated equally and fairly. So that's my project on the 19th Amendment and women's voting rights.